Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, man. Episode 118, week 17 of the NFL season right upon us, man. Gonna dive into a little college football playoff as well. First week, last week. Gonna be discussion, man, at 12 teams, too many teams after some of the games we saw last weekend. I'm just gonna, just a little yes or no. You don't have to go in depth.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think it's too many teams.
All right. Week 17 NFL Pick'ems, man. Christmas Day football coming on a Wednesday. Football taking over basketball this year. Christmas is usually reserved for, basketball games, but here we are, man. And Chiefs, they turn around to those 3 games. They're not too happy with their schedule, but they play the Steelers on the road. Here, first game, Christmas Day, Chiefs Steelers in Pittsburgh. We'll go ahead and rock with the Chiefs, man. At this point, don't need to say too much about them. Just picking them to win is not a surprise if they do.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Chiefs not happy about their schedule. I don't think any of these 4 teams that are playing on this short week would be happy about their schedule. But you going with the Chiefs, I don't hate it. Like, the Chiefs are just going to find a way to win. But give me the Steelers here, man. Russ, bad showing last week. Defense didn't look the part against, Lamar and that offense down there in Baltimore. They came up with a interception. But regardless, I think Steelers, you get George Pickens back, you just see how vital he is to that offense where you look the past couple games where he hasn't been playing. Steelers offense was just pretty much non-existent. Now hopefully you get him back. It seems like they were on the side of caution, eased him back, so he'll be as close to 100% as he can be. And we all know resting that deep ball in this Chiefs secondary has been gettable at times. So just give me the Steelers. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here at home.
Ravens, Texans in Houston. Next game up, man. You mentioned how the Ravens have been playing. Lamar Jackson, once again, MVP caliber season. And if it wasn't for him probably winning 2, I think, he'd have a serious case of beating Josh Allen this year. But granted that he is a 2-time MVP winning last year, Josh Allen not being able to touch one, I do think Allen is the step ahead, clear cut right now. But Lamar put on another phenomenal season for Baltimore. We'll go ahead and take the Ravens against the Texans. Tank Dell once again going down with a gruesome injury, dislocated knee, ACL tear. Hate to see it happen 2 years in a row to a young player that had so much promise, but it's a game of football, man. I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens. That secondary's been real shaky. And the Texans, they've looked a lot better as the season has progressed. At moments, but unable to just close out games sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens on the road.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to take the Ravens also, and I'm going to go out and say this here. This might be a hot take or whatever, but I think Lamar Jackson is kind of starting his MVP race right now, and I think he's going to end up winning the league MVP over Josh Allen. Like, I know Josh Allen has been playing amazing these past couple games, and he's had the big game against Detroit Lions and this fun snow game and all, but we all know how much, this award goes into recency bias and are you getting the primetime games and how much buzz are you getting? Well, Josh Allen just played the Patriots last week, didn't have, the best outing, still managed to win, but his next 2 games are against, I believe, the Jets, and then they play the Patriots again. All those games are going to be hidden on the 1 o'clock window. No one's going to be paying attention, where you have Lamar Jackson, who just played on primetime on a standalone game last week, and then now you have the Ravens playing again in their favorite against this Texans team on the Christmas Day. They have the afternoon game. Everyone's going to be watching. So if Lamar goes out here, has another one of his vintage Lamar games, puts up big numbers, throws for a bunch of touchdowns, runs a little bit, and keeps it clean on the turnovers, I think you can definitely see the odds for Lamar winning MVP get a lot closer. And he's going to be playing a lot more meaningful football. Kind of seems like Josh Allen already has that number 2 seed locked up in the AFC, whereas the Ravens and Steelers are going down to the wire. They're still trying to fight for their playoff spots, maybe even win the division. So I just think the narrative and what the Ravens are playing for, Lamar's going to be held to a high standard in his play. And I think Lamar's up for the task. And I think, it started last week, and I think he continues the role here. And I think Lamar ends up winning his 3rd MVP this season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just think the fact that Josh Allen hasn't won it, they might lean towards that, but I'm kind of right there with you. I think Lamar sent you that stat comparison the other day. I think Lamar's had the better season at
Yeah,
this
I
point,
mean,
honestly.
you look at the numbers, the stats, everything's all pretty much the same. And I mean, we'll get to the Bills and stuff. Josh Allen just got banged up again, so we'll see how that affects his play. But I mean, like I said, down the stretch, all eyes will be on the Ravens. Everyone's going to be watching, and we know how social media posts and everyone gets all the attention. We know how much that kind of sways the award. So I think that'll be a big key. And I think last week before the Patriots game, Josh Allen was like minus like 1,000 or like 16-1 or something,
Yeah.
and I think his odds have dropped to like I think plus 450 something like that. So I mean, or minus 450, excuse me. So odds definitely shifted a little bit in favor of Lamar Jackson. So I mean, listen, if you want to, not saying I did, maybe or maybe not have already placed the NFL future bet on Lamar winning MVP
When
just
was
because of the
this?
value. Earlier today I looked, but yeah. Hey man, the Jaden Daniels offensive rookie of the year is looking good for me, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
So
you gotta make that every episode, man.
yeah, man.
We know you got
Hey,
the bet, bro.
place the future right now. That's
All
where the
right.
money's at. Lamar MVP.
Next game up, Seahawks Bears. I'm not even gonna give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Seahawks here as well. They put up a better fight against the Vikings than I thought they would last week, but ultimately, Geno Smith and that offense weren't up to the task. They'll be up to the task against the Bears here.
Next one up, man. Chargers Patriots. Once again, outside of your boy Drake May, the Patriots. They look not too good. So give me the Chargers coming off that win on Thursday Night Football. They're rolling with the AFC, trying to finish the season off strong here. So give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Two teams in pretty much complete different parts of the season, where the Patriots are playing for draft position and the Chargers are playing for their playoff spot. So yeah, give me the Chargers.
Broncos Bengals in Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a good game here, man. We were talking before. You didn't like the way the Broncos played on Thursday. It's been shaky for him. Ups and downs, rookie quarterback, growing pains. But yeah, against this Bengals team, they look real good. But at the end of the day, they scored 21 points against the Browns, and that honestly should have been a lot closer game. Goal line fumble. Dustin Hopkins, worst kicker in the league. So give me the Broncos. I think it's going to be a good game, though. I'm going to take the road team here and the Denver Broncos.
I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I think this is going to, like you mentioned, I think it will be a good game. And I think these are a handful of the teams that are fighting for that last playoff spot in the AFC. So, I mean, we'll definitely, whoever loses this game is, pretty much out. But I like Cincy here at home. I think I saw a stat on social media saying Joe Burrow set like a record or has like 7 straight games with at least 250 passing yards and 2+ touchdowns. So, I mean, in terms of offenses catching fire and being the hottest in the league, you look at what the Bengals are doing. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that right now. They have the weapons on the outside. Run game's coming along with Chase Brown. And, I know their defense has had favorable matchups the past couple weeks where you look, they played the Cowboys a couple weeks ago and then just last week against your Browns. And then the Titans also, I believe, last week. Defenses played a lot better. So, I mean, Bo Nix and this Denver offense will definitely give them a tougher challenge than their past couple games. But if they can just get 1 or 2 stops, play good enough, I think this Bengals offense will be hard to keep up with at home.
Cardinals Rams in LA. Cardinals losing to the Panthers. You got Trey McBride in the locker room tunnel talking down on his team. So it shows you where the Cardinals are at this point in the season. The Rams coming off, just a win against the Jets. Nothing too much to say about that, but I'm gonna go ahead and rock with the Rams here. Kyler Murray. Season's over. They had a lot of promise at some point throughout this season, and they just hit a wall where they just couldn't find ways to win games, couldn't click on offense. The defense is subpar. It's a lot of things with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams here as well. As the season goes on, starts to look more and more like they got this division wrapped up. Where a couple weeks ago it was like everyone was tied, but you mentioned, I mean, Cardinals very disappointing. That was talked about our rivalry we had. You know, the Cardinals was my team. You got the Seahawks. You clearly won that one. Cardinals eliminated from the playoffs already. You know, reports coming out. Is Kyler the question? You mentioned the Trey McBride video. Yeah, not a good look down there in Arizona. Give me the Rams here.
Panthers, Bucks in Tampa Bay. It's an NFC South showdown. Beginning of the season, probably wouldn't think so, but man, the Panthers, they're just playing some, spoiler exciting football down there in Carolina, and they travel to sunny South Florida, Southwest Tampa Bay. Play the Bucks coming off, one of their worst, I wouldn't say worst, but definitely up there for one of the worst games they've played this year. Baker didn't play well at all. Rashad White, final drive, fumbles that football, gives it right back to the Cowboys, and Cooper Rush and company beat the Bucks on prime time. So that being said, I'm going to still rock with the Bucks here. Think they're just a little bit better than the Panthers, but don't get me wrong. This Panthers team, I've been picking them a lot. They've played that spoiler football, and that Bryce Young has looked a lot better as the season's progressing. Chuba Hubbard quietly, may or may not be quietly at this point now. Everyone's starting to know who Chuba Hubbard is around the league, one of the better running backs here. So I'm going to take the Bucks, man, but I really like this Panthers team.
Yeah, well, I like them just as you do, and I'm picking them. And I was surprised when we went over it. I was like, dang, you didn't pick the Panthers because you have been riding with the Panthers. And I think this Panthers team was one of our better takes we've had this season. Me and you both were a little higher on them coming into this year. But I'm right there with you, man. Bryce Young and this Panthers offense, they're playing carefree football, slinging around. You mentioned Chuba Hubbard. Always helps to have a reliable running back in the offense to kind of make it easier for the quarterback. And Bryce Young is making throws down the field, intermediate. He's pretty much checking all the boxes when it comes to throws and plays you want your quarterback to make. So a nice bounce back game from what happened 2 weeks ago against Dallas. They come back, get a nice win against the Cardinals. Bryce Young throwing touchdowns. This Panthers offense, it's fun. I think there's some potential here. Now, the offseason and stuff, we'll get into that. That's months away, but they got to make some changes on the defensive side. They got to get better, but right now this season, I think Bryce Young and this offense can go out and beat this Buccaneers team. So, yeah, give me the Panthers.
Yeah, I had them at 5 wins on the season. They aim one more to hit that mark. So, Jets, Bills in Buffalo. You said you're never taking the Jets again, and I don't care if Josh Allen's got 2 broken hands. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, taking one right out my book. I mean, you said it, bro. Give me the Bills. I mean, the Jets. This might be like the most disappointing season in terms of just letdown. Like coming in, Breece Hall, he was poised to have a big season. Garrett Wilson was going to be the bona fide true number one. Now you got both of these guys wondering why they're not involved in the offense. Garrett Wilson, saying he wants to finish the season strong and doesn't know if he'll be here with the Jets. Like Breece Hall coming out saying he'd like to be involved more in the run game. A lot of question marks coming out. And then, I mean, did we talk about the report of the Suns and stuff? Was that 2 weeks ago? Was
Suns?
That? Yeah, Woody Johnson's sons, like, running the organization
I don't know if we
or
talked
whatever.
about it, but yeah,
like a whole article came out and it was just
in the
like,
locker room calling players like ass,
just bashing the entire ownership team and stuff like that. I mean, interesting to say the least of what's going on there with the Jets, but yeah, man, I'm right there with you. It could be anybody back there. Give me the Bills.
Worse than the Haslams, I would have never thought, but Colts, Giants in New York, MetLife, Jersey, actually. But I picked the Giants last week against the Falcons, and I said Penix would be the only way. Probably I picked the Falcons, and Penix ended up becoming the starter just after we recorded. So it's funny. They walked down on the Giants, no problem. I want the Giants to win. But I just can't pick them after what I saw what they put on that field last week. Give me the Colts.
Yeah, Drew Lock, 2 pick sixes. I don't even think Michael Penix threw for a touchdown that game.
And you would have had
Regardless,
one if Kyle Pitts knew what he was doing.
that's another story. But yeah, give me the Colts. Jonathan Taylor ran for like 300 yards last week. I'm sure he'll be able to do it again this week against the Giants.
Pack Vikings, man. I think this is a interesting one here in Minnesota. So primarily, I'm just rocking with the home team. I like the product the Vikings put out. We haven't seen what the Pack are gonna do tonight to the Saints, so might take it with a grain of salt. Just watching the Vikings, mow down this week. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Vikings. I like both these teams, 2 playoff teams right here, so I wouldn't be surprised if the other wins. But good old NFC North matchup here. I'll take the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Vikings do end up winning this game, but I'm picking the Packers, man, and we'll get into why later. But this Vikings team, man, they just that defense and the way they play, and they just have too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball. You look what they surround Sam Darnold with. They have a solid offensive line, and then you got weapons on every single level. Like, there's just always an answer for Sam Darnold. And the defense, they get after the quarterback, send a lot of pressure, a lot of exotic looks. They play good enough in the back end just to hold up. Because, when you got the weapons, when you have Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league, Jordan Addison, he's come along, proved that he's, a bona fide number 2 receiver in the league. And then every week you get Hawkinson back healthy, and Aaron Jones out of the backfield. We know what he is, a reliable, always been a solid running back in this league. When you have all those weapons, on the defensive side of the ball, you just got to get 1 or 2 stops, make it close enough. Offensive play caller over there. They pretty much have everything you would need. And, down the stretch, the Vikings are where you want to be. They control their own destiny in the 1 seed. They win these next 2 games. They went out. They're the 1 seed in the NFC. So, there's no place you'd rather be. With that being said, give me the Packers.
Raiders Saints, man, in New Orleans. Give me Vegas, man. 2 games in a row. Antonio Pierce got these guys fired up. Go ahead and just keep on dropping your draft stock, man. I'm rolling with it. They're already behind the Browns, but just a little insurance for Vegas at this point. I think the only other team ahead of the Browns that would take a quarterback is obviously the Giants. They have the worst record. I think it is the
Titans are ahead of you guys, right? Or no?
Yeah, Titans. So it's those 2 teams right now.
Yeah.
Because I think the other team's the Jags, which I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. So, I'll go ahead and take Cam Ward if we get that number 2 pick or one of those teams. The Titans got to win, but yeah, that just changed my pick. Yeah, give me the Raiders.
We've officially hit these games don't matter mode if, you're not worried about a draft pick. So give me the Saints. This Saints versus Raiders, 17? Come on, bro. What are we doing here?
Yeah. So Titans Jags are our next game up. And I originally picked the Jags because I thought they were going to win the football game. But give me the Titans, man. Bounce back game. They said barring major changes, Will Levis would not be the starter. I think major changes happened last week to Mason Rudolph. Other than that one Calvin Ridley touchdown, just wasn't very good football.
I don't know what they expected.
Dude, would you want to put Will Levis out there?
I'm taking the Jags here solely because of Brian Thomas carrying me in fantasy. He's a beast. Already has 1,000 yards, looking like to be the best rookie receiver, and he was the last one picked in the first round. Yeah. Or no, second to last.
20-something.
The Chiefs traded up to get
Xavier Worthy.
Worthy at the end. Yeah, he was picked 23rd. But yeah, out of all of them so far, what he's doing is amazing. And you can't say his quarterback play because he probably had the worst quarterback play out of every single rookie, maybe besides Brock Bowers, but he's a tight end. Outside of that, it's been Malik Neighbors, yeah, that's now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad all over. Caleb Williams. But yeah, man, listen, you line them all up and Mac Jones is in that line, he's going towards the end.
Mac.
Regardless, yeah, and then banged up Trevor Lawrence. Regardless, I mean, this is another one of those games that just don't matter, but I like BTJ, so give me the Jags.
Tighten up, man. Dolphins, Browns in Cleveland. I just went down this whole list of why I want these other teams to win. Give me the Dolphins. No comment necessary.
Yeah, and the reason I'm picking the Browns is because it'd just be the worst possible outcome for you, even
Dolphins
though it'd be
eliminate
good. Yeah, yeah.
Browns
So give me the
worst draft
Browns.
pick.
Dolphins get eliminated from the playoffs. Tua continues to not be able to beat the cold weather allegations, and then the Browns hurt their draft stock. So I mean, that's can actually happen. Like that's a legitimate outcome here. The way these two teams are playing. I think the Dolphins are a little bit better, but
Dolphins are like the worst running team they've had in like franchise history right now. Apparently, there's some crazy stat they pull. Mike McDaniel needs to get it together.
well, I mean, against the 49ers, that run game looked better. So, I mean, if you want to take something away from that, there you go. Regardless, this is a spite pick, a hater pick, a 100% I don't want to see you happy pick. So, give me the Browns.
If I'm the Browns, man, just go ahead and sit every player that's going to be returning next season on Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward.
Whoa. Every player returning next season?
Yeah.
Myles Garrett?
Okay.
Listen, all
right,
I'm saying
bro,
is I saw
They get that number 2 pick and they get Cam Ward.
hey, man, all I got to say is Eagles were the favorite to land Myles Garrett this offseason if he does leave. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, clearly, you should have got pulled over for DUI on the way over, so you're drunk.
Bro, that's like a thing, bro. I'm not just making it up.
Take that thing and throw it away, bro. Cowboys, Eagles, man. You could talk about your Eagles now in a normal fashion.
Listen, not much to say here about this Eagles team. I'm not too worried about the loss. I mean, you do want to see your defense play better. I know I've been on here saying best defense in the league, and I still believe that. It's just unfortunate you lose your starting quarterback and the best rookie quarterback goes on a heater, man. Like, I mean, Jaden Daniels showing he's capable of doing this. Was a problem all game with his legs and through the air. I think he scored more points on the Eagles in the fourth quarter, I believe, than they've let up in their 10-game win streak this entire season. So, I mean, listen, we came on here last week, and I've always said these Eagles-Commanders games are always just weird. And, I mean, this is just another one to add to the book. I mean, Jalen Hurts goes down in the first quarter. It's looking good. Saquon Barkley breaks off a 60-yard run. And I heard a stat on I think it was the Eagle Eye podcast. They just talk about the Eagles or whatever. I think Saquon Barkley has 4 runs over 65 yards this season. And the only other players to do that in NFL history are Adrian Peterson and Jim Brown, I believe. So elite company there.
Let me ask you something. We talked about this early on in the NFL season. Best off-season addition at this point, Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry?
I mean, come on, man. Sam Darnold, no. I mean, you could argue that, but obviously I'm going to take Saquon Barkley, man. I mean, what he's doing on pace, I think he's only a couple yards short of 2,000 scrimmage yards. Has a legit shot to break the rushing yard record. And with this loss to the Commanders, I mean, now these next two games, I mean, if you lose to the Cowboys, you got to play Week 18. And, you know, having Saquon Barkley out on that field in meaningful football games just increases the likeliness of him breaking the record. Now, obviously, if it means clinching a better seed and being able to rest guys and keep them healthy for the playoffs, you don't want that. But there's a legitimate shot. All in all, I think Jalen Hurts probably ends up missing this game against Dallas with the concussion. That's usually a 1-week injury. Kenny Pickett went down also in this game with the rib injury, so he's getting further evaluation.
Who's
Maybe
the third stringer?
Might be Tanner McKee, man. Stanford legend. Shout out Tanner McKee, who's never played a snap of NFL football in his life. I mean, he's played in the preseason and stuff like that, but he's been on the roster for a couple years, but he hasn't played in a regular season game so far. So we might see Tanner McKee come out and suit up, but there's the outside shot. Jalen Hurts makes it, but regardless, I think if he's healthy and clears protocol, I think he has to go out there and play. But regardless, I think we might end up seeing a Kenny Pickett or probably a Tanner McKee game. And you mentioned against this Dallas team, they've been playing a lot better. Like, there's a legit world where the Eagles lose this game, but I mean, even with Kenny Pickett in there, A.J. Brown was looking at like a beast out there. Saquon Barkley had his long run. Wasn't as effective in the second half, but it's still a really good team. I think the defense can bounce back. Guys get healthy. It was a really good game in the beginning from the defensive line, but sometimes you just got to tip your cap to, the other team. And I think what Jaden Daniels and that team did down the stretch offensively, they were just a better team. So, I mean, I'm picking the Eagles in this game against the Cowboys just because there is still a very, very slim chance the Eagles can get the 1 seed, and that's why I picked the Packers against the Vikings earlier, because the Packers have to lose, or the Vikings have to lose, to the Packers, and the Eagles have to win out. So, yeah, why not start by beating the Cowgirls with your third-string quarterback? That'd be fun.
Just looked up. He's 6'6", another Brock Osweiler ?
Yeah, it just wasn't selected in the first round.
Yeah, he was a 6th round pick.
Yeah. Maybe a little Andrew Luck, the last Stanford quarterback, coming to have success.
Anyways, Falcons, Commanders.
Hey, you didn't even give your pick.
I picked the Eagles.
Good choice.
Yeah, I'm not picking the Cowboys. Nothing to do with the Eagles. Falcons, Commanders in Washington. I think it's a good game right here, man. Penix's first career game. You know what? I don't know if this is going to change your pick at all. I think you just did it because you hate the Commanders, but I'm rocking with the Tampa boy, man. Rocking with the Florida, Michael Penix. Give me the Falcons over the Commanders, just purely off Florida.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Give me the Falcons. This is also another hatred pick. If the Eagles would have beat the Commanders in a close game, I definitely would have picked them here to beat the Falcons. But since they just beat the Eagles, we don't need them to go into the playoffs, with some confidence, because it's likely that the Eagles-Commanders would be that first-round matchup for us. So, yeah, let's have them have a loss right here to Michael Penix. Maybe he's the best quarterback in this rookie class. He just had to sit behind Kirk Cousins the entire season. We may never know. Regardless, I think this will be a really good game, a close game. Might see a bunch of points scored. I think both of these offenses have the potential to produce some points here. So, yeah, give me the Falcons in a good one.
Lions, Niners, and San Fran. Going with the Lions is nothing too much to say. Jared Goff, known for that West Coast, he aired it out to J-Mo last week on a pretty deep air pass, I will say that. This team, Jahmyr Gibbs, St. Brown, Sam Laporta, them setting it up. The play action tutty to Laporta. Don't care who's on defense against this Niners team. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, is Jared Goff beating the can't play outdoors allegations? I mean, you mentioned that deep pass to J-Mo. That was out in Chicago, man. Probably one of the worst weather places to play in. And then a couple weeks ago at night in prime time, goes into Lambeau and wins. So 2 very weather-dependent outdoor games that we saw Jared Goff have some success in. And, I mean, yeah, this Lions team is rolling. But in order for the Eagles to get that 1 seed, they have to lose to the 49ers. And then they got to lose again next week. But we'll talk about that next week. So, yeah, start it off here. Give me the 49ers. They showed absolutely nothing to give me hope, especially against the Dolphins, where, I mean, not many times you can say, the Dolphins go out and out physical a team and just go out and beat them. But, hey, man, that happened for the 49ers. Looking like the Eagles from last year after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Niner fans, I know how you feel. That was me last year. I know how it gets. But, hey, listen, on the bright side, maybe next season your team can go on to run like the Eagles. But, yeah.
Stop trying to relate to Niners fans, bro. It is.
I'm just saying, man, listen. I know how it is getting packed up by the Chiefs and then having a season from hell the next year.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap up Week 17 Pick'ems, man. Down to the wire NFL season, college football playoffs. Was definitely wrong about that Penn State game, or not Penn State. It was who was that?
Indiana game,
man. Notre Dame really put that to rest, man. I might have thrown on Indiana themselves. But yeah, I mean,
Every other game, I think we got pretty spot on. Well, I did. You picked Tennessee. Yeah.
I picked Tennessee +7. I thought they would cover, but
outside of that, I think we had a pretty good beat on all the other games.
I don't know what Will Howard woke up as, but it was, those receivers. I mean, we predicted that those receivers would win.
Yeah, I mean, he finally realized he has the best receiving core in college football. It's like, oh, I can just throw it up. Like, you don't need time in the pocket when you just one read win. Jeremiah Smith's going to beat whoever he's guarding him down the field. Like, you need a second to throw the ball.
And, I mean, Tennessee, I'm a sit down. That was one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen.
I think, you got to give credit to Nico, man. He was the only reason that, I mean, they weren't really in this game, but he played. Okay, he had some heart.
His rushing, yeah, sure. He had his rushing.
Yeah.
But a 6'6" quarterback, he got batted down at the line 4 different times.
I mean, listen, this Ohio State defense came to play, man. Front seven finally looked like they were ready to go. I think this was more of Ohio State winning than Tennessee.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He had some wins on the receiver side. There was a couple calls that didn't go his way in that first quarter, but man, his pocket presence, once that pocket collapses, he's not looking downfield. It's just head down in the dirt. Well, he did make some guys miss.
The run quarterback
game was not effective.
Yeah.
But there was a point, I think, in the second quarter, they just went away from it. And then in the third quarter, they gave a couple touches, and it was working. They were getting 8 yards a carry, but they stayed away from it. They were inconsistent. I think Josh Heupel and his play calling didn't live up to anything that I know Josh Heupel to be. It frankly was not good, and it doesn't help when you have the SEC Player of the Year out, and then you put him in the fourth quarter down 30 points when his hamstring was already hurting, and you didn't have him in the whole game. So really head scratcher there. Not sure what was going on, but that's all I'm gonna say for Tennessee. And
yeah, I think that game was just classic, SEC team, warm weather team going up and playing against Ohio State in our cold weather. And, in the NFL, everyone's professionals. I don't think it's as big of a deal. Like, obviously, the weather and stuff plays a part. But I think in college, you can definitely, lean into kind of the, not gimmicks, but kind of the narratives of, warm weather team playing in the cold, home field advantage. I think those are more prominent at the college level, and we saw it. Ohio State was fired up. They came out ready to play, since the first snap. It kind of just seemed like Tennessee was just outclassed, outmatched. And, I mean, listen, this Ohio State team, they have the roster to go all the way. And we can talk about this next game. They're literally favored against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. So, this Ohio State team could possibly be the best team in the country. So, I mean, Tennessee – Nico, he's a young quarterback, a redshirt freshman. He'll be able to learn from this, and I think he showed some flashes. He showed some grit. He showed, the most important thing you have to have.
He did have heart. I'll give you that, bro.
He had heart, yeah. So maybe
the silencer in the second quarter was questionable, but
man, it just shows the love for the game he has. But down the stretch, I think in the next couple seasons, Nico continues to progress. I think this Tennessee team will continue to be in the mix for a playoff run. So tough loss, I agree, but you got to hang your hat, learn from it, and, a young quarterback returning, I think there's room to grow for this Tennessee team. But on the Ohio State side, you mentioned it. Where was this? Pretty much in the Michigan game all season, where it just kind of felt like they were skating by teams. And you kind of saw it in the Oregon game where they opened it up a little bit and they lost on that last drive. But this version of Ohio State looked like the best team in college football, that I've seen so far this season. Everyone playing, the receivers, Jeremiah Smith getting involved, got their run game going a little bit as well, and then defensively, they can, that defensive front can continue to cause havoc and get after the quarterback. It's the most complete roster if they're playing like this for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, Judkins looked like he had that spin move from NCAA.
Pre-patch.
Yeah, pre-patch. Yeah, first game up, man. New Year's Eve, Boise State against Penn State Fiesta Bowl. And listen, this Penn State team, 2 pick sixes, SMU. I did say that moment was going to be too big. Whiteout game. That crowd, it's different when you get the Big Ten football and you go up north and you play these teams. They live or die. Penn State football, and I mean, that place is just different. This one, Fiesta Bowl, neutral site, Boise State. best running back in college football. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to rock, even though they're the higher seed. I think Penn State is favored in this one. I'm going to go ahead and rock with Boise State.
Yeah, and before I make this pick, we touched on it a little bit, prior weeks before about the seeding or whatever. But, I'm going to just say this real quick. And the lines may have moved or whatever, but last time I checked, guess how much Penn State is favored against Boise State? Don't
Probably
look it up.
10.5.
Yeah, 10.5 on the dot.
Really?
Yeah. That was what the line was before. And
It's
we'll
2
get
days
to
ago is -8.
we'll get to the Arizona State and
10.5.
Texas game, but guess what that line opened up at?
Arizona, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go 11.5.
I think it was 11.5 or 12.5 right when it opened. So, you can't have a 3 seed in any bracket at a neutral field open up as a 10-point dog.
Yeah, neutral field is crazy. Like the home field is a big difference. But
yeah,
they
definitely got to make some change to that. With that being said, I'm right there with you, man. I'm rocking with Penn State and that SMU
I took
team.
Boise State. I'm not.
Oh, you took Boise?
Yeah, I'm rocking with Boise. I rocked with the Dogs last week.
You literally
Something's
said
gotta
even
budge.
though they're the higher seed, I'm picking Penn State. So you changing it right now? You going with Boise
No.
State?
Yeah. I said even though they're favored, but the higher seed.
Oh, I must have heard you then. Yeah.
Maybe
Give me Penn State, and I might take them to cover in this game. Like I know Ashton Jincy is so good, and they were able to have success earlier on in the year against Oregon, but that was super, super early on before Oregon started playing really good football the way they are now. But I just like what I saw from that Penn State defense, and they were able to take away the run from SMU. Abdul Carter just looks like the best player on the field whenever he's out there, just disrupting in the run game and in the pass game, getting after the quarterback. I think if Penn State is able to just contain Ashton Jincy, I don't think you'll be able to shut him down completely. He's just such a dynamic athlete and such a great player. I think if you're able to contain him on a few drives, just make Boise State getting true passing situations. Like, if I'm Penn State, I love my chances in those down and distances. Like, I don't think out of every single Boise State highlight or everything you've ever saw from anything Boise State, I haven't seen their quarterback complete one pass down the field. And if he has, it's like a dump off to Ashton Jincy, and it's the Ashton Jincy highlight. So if you're Penn State, you want to force, second and long, third and got to pass, where 3rd and 7+, 3rd and 8, those just keep them behind the sticks and don't let them lean into Ashton Jincy, the pretty much only thing they have on offense. And I think you can go out and win this game handily. Drew Aller, he played okay. That Penn State offense didn't even have that great of a game. Their defense stepped up, and pretty much all they had to do was play conservative, don't turn the ball over, play solid offense. And you look at guys on the Penn State side of the ball, they're able to run the ball. They got a really good run game. And then Tyler Warren's on the offensive side of the ball, he might be the best player on the field. So they got the best player on the field on both sides of the ball. Well, maybe not defense, I think, is a real toss-up between Ashton Jincy and Abdul Carter, but I'd say they equal out. But on defense, there's no way they're going to be able to hang with Penn State. So, listen, man, I am a betting man, and I will be betting, and I'm taking Penn State to cover this, man.
Would you know the Boise State quarterback name?
No, but I just saw it's Mason Maddox or whatever.
Maddox.
Yeah. I think he's he's a sophomore. Yeah. So
he threw 22 TDs on 3 picks this season, obviously. 2,700 yards passing. That's 300 more than Genty had rushing. Less than 300. It's about 270 or something like that. But yeah, next game up, man. Arizona State, Texas, 1 p.m. at the Peach Bowl. Man, I was rocking with the Dogs last week. Arizona State Big 12 football, Cinderella story coming into the year. I can't do it, man. I love throwing the horns down, but I can't double up on the Dogs, man. I'm picking one dog right now. Heavy dog. I'm going to take Texas here, man. I think this Texas team is just better talent all around the field. I mean, they probably have every single position pretty much besides maybe running back, and that's about it. But give me Texas. I don't think this will be close either.
Yeah, I think Texas in a similar position to Penn State, whereas you just stop the running game, you force Cam Scatterbo not to be able to just run all over you and then you win the game. Like if you force this Arizona State quarterback to drop back, throw the ball, and 3rd and 7, 8, like I just said for Penn State against Boise State, get them in half the pass situations. I believe Arizona State's number one receiver is also going to be out for this game, so their top passing option not there. I mean, if you just find a way to contain Cam Scatterbo, you win this game. But Texas, I'm still not convinced. They win these games, but I mean, going back to the first Georgia game against Clemson, Cade Klubnik, he battled back. He was able to throw the ball all around this Texas defense. It's just, it came to the ground game up front. Texas was able to kind of dominate in the trenches and run the ball. So I think this is going to be another game where Texas can just skate by with talent alone and they contain the running game. I think they win this one handily as well, but I think they're going to run into some trouble down in the next game.
Next one up, Oregon, Ohio State, Rose Bowl, Pasadena, California, and just talked about Ohio State winning. They felt like they had like a chip on their shoulder, this and that. Everyone was counting them out. It's because they lost to the worst Michigan team that's been there since Ryan Day's been the head coach. They totally deserved all the hate. I know I'm usually a Cleveland guy, so I should be rocking with, the Buckeyes, but shout out my boy D. Gabes, man. UCF legend. I'm rocking with him. They were disrespecting him when he was at the Heisman, saying, he shouldn't have even been there. Truly think he's, probably, I'm going to go ahead and say he's the best quarterback remaining, man. He's going to say better than Quinn Ewers at this point. No Carson Beck, obviously. Best quarterback left in this playoff. QBs get it done. Give me Oregon beating Ohio State the second time this year.
That's not a hot take. I would probably agree with you. I think it's between him and Drew Aller and the remaining quarterbacks. And, just based on experience, you mentioned the big games going all the way back to UCF. And then you look at what he was able to do with Oklahoma last year, beat Texas in that, big game and a big upset, and he ran all over him. So Dylan Gabriel has the big game experience, and even this season he won some battle-tested games, winning the Big Ten championship, beating Ohio State. It's tough to beat a team twice, man. Just ask, those division rivals up there in the NFL. We usually always talk about how teams split or whatever, but I think I got to go with you, man. It just comes down to which quarterback I trust the most, and so far Dylan Gabriel has been the most consistent one out. What we saw from Ohio State and Will Howard last week, if I'm guaranteed to get that version, then I think I pick Ohio State here to win it. And honestly, they might win it all, but we just don't know which Will Howard we're going to get. Are we going to get, the Ohio State offense that we saw against Michigan? We're going to get the one that we saw that fell short against this Oregon team in the final seconds of the game? Or are we going to get, the Ohio State offense we saw that came out and put up some big numbers against Indiana, which is a story in its own, and then, or the Ohio State we just saw against Tennessee? It's just a little too inconsistent for me, so I think I'm going to go right there with you, man. I'm going to pick Oregon here, and, listen, if you want to play the underdog card, man, Ohio State's favored by 1.5. We're rocking with the underdogs here again, man. Like, give me Oregon. Plus money.
1.5, not
money,
as much
man.
as
Amen. Plus money is plus money, no matter which way you look at it.
Final game, man. Georgia, Notre Dame, Sugar Bowl. Obviously Carson Beck out. I forget the quarterback name for Georgia now, but he's the same one I played.
Gunnar Stockton, Gunnar Helms. I think it's Gunnar Stockton. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't really care who it is. I'm a non-believer in this Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team. I'm gonna go ahead and rock with Georgia, man. It's SEC built team, and I didn't even think Notre Dame would have enough to pull off that win. Yeah, Gunnar Stockton, the redshirt sophomore. So go ahead, give me him. I mean, they had a Carson Beck cannon the ball off with a elbow that needed Tommy John, and they beat Texas on that run. So I'm going to go ahead and rock with Georgia. I think they could get it done against this Notre Dame team. I wouldn't be surprised. Is Notre Dame favored?
I believe Georgia's favored by like 4.5 or 5, I think. But regardless, listen, you have Boise State, your underdog pick. I'm picking Notre Dame here in the upset, man. If you look at this Georgia team, I do think quarterback is a big issue, but offensively, outside of Trevor Etienne, if you don't get a big Trevor Etienne game, like this isn't the Georgia offensive pass, and you look at the two big weapons from last year and years prior, what they're doing now in the league, like Brock Bowers, arguably, you could say best tight end in football, the way he's playing, and then you look at Lat McConkey, he's become Justin Herbert's number one. He's producing like he's looking to be a bona fide number one receiver in the NFL. Like, you lose that from this offense. There's really no one stepping up for this Georgia team. I believe they lead college football in drops, but this is just an offense that doesn't scare you. But defensively, in the trenches, they're just so overwhelming. I mean, there's talent all over that defensive line. They can get after the quarterback, but you look at this Notre Dame team and what they want to do is they want to run. And what's one way to negate a super, super powerful pass rusher defensive line? That quarterback has got to get out. He's got to move. He's got to run. And Riley Leonard has showed that maybe he's not the best passer in college football or best passing quarterback, but he can definitely get it done with his legs. And you look at what happened with Georgia and Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago, that game that went into like 7 overtimes or something. They had a running quarterback down there in Georgia Tech as well. They're able to do it. They're running the scheme. They're kind of notorious for having players that can run around with the ball. And I think Riley Leonard is just a better version of that. And you look at what they have in this Notre Dame offense. So, I mean, not really much to love out there on Notre Dame weapons-wise as well. But you look at that Notre Dame run game. You look at what Riley Leonard is able to do with his legs on the ground. And I think I have more trust in that than what I do with this Georgia's offense. And Notre Dame's defense has played good, man. I mean, they pretty much shut out Indiana. I know they a couple garbage time points here or there. You can get into that if you want, but they play really good. I like this Notre Dame secondary. They're feisty. They get after it. I just think it's a bad matchup for Georgia, and I think it'll be a really, really good game. It could go either way, but I guess I'm picking my second dog here with Notre Dame, but I like
1.5 point spread.
Oh, it's 1.5 right now?
Yeah.
Is Georgia favored or Notre Dame? Yeah, listen, man. 2 1.5 point dogs. Is it really an underdog? I'll let everyone else decide that. But like I said, man, plus money is always plus money no matter how you look at it. But, yeah, I like Notre Dame here in this matchup. This should be a really good game. Outside of Ohio State, Oregon, I think Notre Dame, Georgia will be a really good matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. Last time I bet money on Riley Leonard, he got hurt and didn't see the field the rest of the game, so I just can't rock with it, man. Just gonna wrap up our college football picks, man. We got the quarterfinals, New Year's, man. It's exciting. And then the semifinals would take place the weekend 9th, 10th, and then the championship the 20th. So late finish to the season, another week of football on the schedule in college football. You got any last comments, takes, anything like that, man?
Nope, we're just in the heart of all football all the time, man. Starting last week, going into now into the next week. I mean, it's just, what more could you ask for as a fan of the game?
Christmas time. I think I asked this last year. Your favorite Thanksgiving dish, man. What are you looking at Christmas? What dish are you looking forward to on your plate?
I mean, Christmas, it's Christmas dinner and stuff. You're not really looking forward to meals or whatever. But to me, it's the desserts. It's the cookies, the pies, all the desserts. So any desserts.
You throw a little ice cream on your pie, or you just eat it straight?
Any sweet you could get. Pie, I'm usually just eating straight. Obviously ice cream will make it better, but pie is good enough on its own. I feel like I don't gotta go the extra step to add ice cream, where I'll be satisfied enough with just plain old pie.
What's the number one pie?
I'll probably. That's a tough one, man.
I think I know your answer. What you're gonna pick pumpkin?
It's a toss up between pumpkin or apple pie. Either one you can't go wrong with. Give me either one of those.
Pumpkin.
Sweet
overrated.
potato pie is also really good. Don't sleep on sweet potato pie. But either one, pumpkin or apple, you can't go wrong.
No, I'm snoozing that on sweet potato.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say maybe apple. It's a little more versatile.
Right, yeah, I was about to say you could do a little bit more with apple any time of the year. Yeah. You could do pumpkin any time of the year, but
that's you're right. That's more of a fall kind of Thanksgiving, Christmas. But yeah, apple pie you can kind of eat it up throughout the
Versatility
year.
wins, man, even on the plate.
All right. All right.
Go to go.
Wow.
Episode 118, man. Yeah, until next week, man. Merry Christmas, and we'll be back with another episode, man. Peace.